Be honest. Right now, somewhere in the back of your mind, there's a moment you're still cringing about. Something you said, a way you looked, a time you tripped, or went red, or fumbled a sentence in front of people. And a part of you is sure they all still remember it. Here's the truth that's about to take a weight off your chest. Almost nobody noticed. And the one or two who did have completely forgotten. I know that's hard to believe because it doesn't feel that way. It feels like there's a spotlight following you around, catching every flaw, every slip, every awkward second. So let me show you why that spotlight isn't real, and what's actually going on in everyone else's head. Psychologists have a name for this. They call it the spotlight effect. It's our tendency to wildly overestimate how much other people notice and judge how we look and what we do. And there's a famous experiment that nails it. Back in 2000, a psychologist named Thomas Galovich ran a study that's almost too perfect. He took a college student and made them put on the single most embarrassing thing he could think of: a big, bright T-shirt with Barry Manilow's face on it. If you don't know who that is, just picture the cheesiest, most uncool thing you could possibly wear in front of a room of your peers. Then, he sent that student into a room full of other students, already sitting down. And afterward, he asked the wearer one simple question. How many people do you think noticed your shirt? The students were mortified. On average, they guessed about half the room had clocked the embarrassing shirt. Half. 50% of all those eyes, locked onto their most cringeworthy moment. But then Gilovich asked the people who'd actually been in the room. And the real number? Only about a quarter of them even noticed. The wearers had roughly doubled the attention they thought they were getting. The embarrassment that felt enormous from the inside was to everyone else barely a blip. And here's the kicker. It wasn't just embarrassing shirts. When they ran it with cool, flattering shirts, the same thing happened. People were sure they'd be noticed and admired, and mostly they just weren't. It even held for things people said out loud in group discussions. Everyone was convinced their clever comment, or their dumb one, stood out far more than it actually did. So why does our brain do this to us? Why do we feel like the main character in a movie everyone's watching? The answer comes down to one simple, unavoidable fact. You experience the entire world from inside your own head. You are the center of your universe, not because you're arrogant, but because you literally can't be anywhere else. Your mistakes are vivid to you. Your outfit, your face, that thing you said, it's all playing in high definition, front and center, all the time. So when you try to guess how much others notice, you start from your own intense self-focus, and you don't fully adjust for the fact that they're not in your head. Psychologists call this an egocentric bias. You anchor on how huge it feels to you, and you undercorrect for reality. And this isn't some flaw that only anxious people have. It actually starts in childhood. When we're very young, we're deeply egocentric. And I don't mean selfish. I mean, we genuinely can't grasp that other people see the world differently than we do. There's a classic example of a little kid holding up a drawing to show their parent, but turning it to face themselves. In their mind, if they can see it, you can see it too. As we grow up, we develop something called a theory of mind, the ability to step into someone else's head and realize they know different things, notice different things, care about different things than we do. But here's the catch. Even as adults, that ability is never perfect. Under pressure, we slip right back toward that little kid holding the drawing the wrong way, assuming everyone sees exactly what we see and feels exactly what we feel. The spotlight effect is what's left over from that childhood wiring. Now here's where it gets even more interesting, because the spotlight effect has a twin, an inner twin, and it might be messing with you even more. It's called the illusion of transparency. The spotlight effect is about your outside, your looks, your behavior. The illusion of transparency is about your inside, your feelings. It's the belief that your inner states, your nerves, your fear, your secret, are written all over your face for everyone to read. Think about the last time you were really nervous. Giving a presentation, walking into an interview, talking to someone you had a crush on. Your heart's pounding. Your hands are shaking. There's a panic alarm screaming inside you, and you're absolutely certain everyone can see it, right? Gilovich tested this too. He had people give speeches and tell lies, then asked them how obvious they thought their nervousness or their lying was. The speakers were convinced it was completely written on their faces. But when he checked with the audience, the observers picked up on far, far less than the speakers expected. That roaring panic you feel? It's loud inside your head and almost silent on your face. To everyone watching, you look basically calm. And this is where it gets cruel, because it creates a loop. You feel nervous. You assume everyone can see how nervous you are. That thought makes you even more nervous, which makes you assume they can see even more. Round and round, your own brain feeding the anxiety, based on a tension that was never really there. But that loop is also the way out, because researchers found something genuinely useful. When you simply tell nervous speakers the truth, that their anxiety is far less visible than it feels, their performance gets better. Their confidence goes up. Just knowing the panic doesn't show is enough to quiet it. And that's the gift hiding inside both of these biases. Once you really get that the spotlight isn't there, you get a strange and wonderful kind of freedom. Think about everything you've talked yourself out of because of an audience that wasn't watching. The outfit you didn't wear, the question you didn't ask in class, because everyone would think it was stupid, when really half of them had the same question and the rest weren't even listening. The gym you didn't go to because people would stare, when everyone there was buried in their own workout, their own spotlight, their own insecurities. The dance you sat out, the idea you didn't pitch. We shrink our whole lives to fit a stage that doesn't exist. So here's what I actually want you to do with this. The next time you feel that spotlight swing onto you, that hot flush of everyone's looking, everyone will remember this. Pause and remember the real numbers. Not 50%. About a quarter. And falling by the second, as they go right back to thinking about themselves. Because that's the secret nobody tells you. Everyone is too busy starring in their own movie to be an extra in yours. The person you're sure is judging your stumble is replaying their own stumble from this morning. We're all walking around convinced we're being watched, by people who are convinced of the exact same thing. That embarrassing moment you started this video thinking about? Let it go. Nobody's holding on to it but you. The spotlight was always pointing inward, and the moment you realize the room isn't watching is the moment you finally get to be yourself in it.